Nintendo has just wrapped up the Nindies, their showcase of all the upcoming indie titles going to the Switch. So let's talk about the 5 that I am most hyped about. And we're going to kick things off with a game that was honestly a throwaway instant winner as far as I'm concerned, and that is Shovel Knight King of Cards. Now, something I've really loved about the Shovel Knight series isn't just how the actual gameplay is a great recreation of some of my favorite classics growing up, but it's how, with every single character DLC they've done, they've reinvented the game to almost feeling like an entirely new title, and that is no different with the gameplay that we saw for King of Cards. Now, if entirely new gameplay and new stages isn't enough for you, something else that was announced about this game that's a little more unique is the addition of a card minigame. It actually looks like something kind of out of one of the PS1 Final Fantasies, like Triple Triad. I don't know. It's just more gameplay, more new stuff. Shovel Knight is just always a winner to me, so definitely hyped. Moving on, one of the more unique games that really stood out to me at the Nindies was Floor Kids. Now, to be honest, one of the main reasons why this game really appeals to me is because I've accepted the fact that EA is never doing an SSX in the style of Tricky again. I don't really care about the racing or surviving going down a mountain. What I care about is mixing up tricks and getting the highest amount of points possible, which, while obviously Floor Kids isn't a snowboarding game, it looks like it incorporates that kind of mechanic, but with a rhythm style game, which I'm actually really intrigued by. On top of that, the game also has a pretty interesting art style and original beats provided by Kid Koala, so definitely gonna be something worth checking out later this holiday season when the game's going to be a timed exclusive for the Switch. Back when the Switch was first announced, one genre that I immediately knew I had to have on this system was co-op beat-em-ups, and the Nindies graced us with not one, but 2 new games. The one I'm most excited for being Dragon Marked for Death. Now, this game is coming from NT Creates, a dev team I've talked about before, responsible for other hit retro-style indies like Blaster Master Zero and Azure Striker Gunvolt. And just in the same style as those, this new game from them is a side-scrolling beat-em-up that supports up to full 4-player co-op with 4 very different looking playable characters. The art style is simple enough that I think it's going to look great even on the portable screen, so it's going to be the perfect choice for a portable co-op game using Joy-Cons. Now, one other game I want to mention really quick is the other beat-em-up they announced, which is kind of a runner-up to the rest of the games on this list, and that's Nine Parchments, which is also a beat-em-up game, but of a different style. It's not a side-scroller, it's more like the top-down Gauntlet style where you're focused more on range attacks, where you're playing a group of wizards. Both these games are slated to come out during the winter. Dragon Marked for Death is an exclusive for the Switch, while Nine Parchments is currently up in the air, probably at least a timed exclusive. Now, if before the Nindy showcase you asked me if any of my favorite games would have been a shooter for the Switch, I'd probably think you're crazy, but, well, here we are now with the reveal of Morphe's Law. Now, while this game isn't a true exclusive for the Switch, it's a timed exclusive, I think it plays perfectly well into what's becoming Nintendo's kind of shtick when it comes to shooters, where instead of focusing on kind of more traditional blow stuff up, modern day, far future, bloody war, all that kind of stuff, it's more focused on kind of just zany, weird things, which is made evident by Splatoon. In Morphe's Law's case, the way the game works is when you shoot an opponent, instead of them taking damage, the part of the body you shoot gets smaller and yours gets larger, making you a bigger target, and also just results in really crazy looking things like people with giant heads but no torsos and tiny legs. At the same time that you're getting larger, you also have a sort of team mascot avatar that gets bigger as well, and the winning team is based on which avatar got larger. So you're not actually killing opponents, you're just constantly morphing sizes and changing, and just this really hilarious looking game that I think is going to be a really fun mix-up shooter for the Switch's library. And then after all these games and more, there was one more huge announcement for the Nindies, and probably the biggest thing to come for it. This is a game that we already kind of knew was happening, but now we actually have a trailer and a title. We're finally getting a new No More Heroes. Travis Strikes Again. Now, if you've never played a No More Heroes game before, or any title from Suda51, they are some of the raunchiest, filthiest, goriest, most insane games that were somehow exclusive originally to the Wii, a Nintendo system. And despite all these other aspects which made it a hilarious game, it still managed to have a really fun and solid third-person action experience. They were great games that we just haven't seen a new one of since. Until now, finally. And to really even top this off, it's not only a new No More Heroes game, but they're actually crossing it over with other indie titles. The only which that we've actually had confirmed so far is Hotline Miami, which makes so much perfect sense. We still don't have a whole lot of info just yet on how the actual gameplay is. The trailer we got was definitely more cinematic than actually showing us how it's going to play, but the important bit is that we are getting a new No More Heroes. It is coming out sometime next year. It is exclusive to the Switch, and I am so happy.